fails to punish the perpetrator. Unlike in the civilian world, survivors have no legal right to sue their perpetrators, their supervisors, or their branch of service for damages. It is time to finally acknowledge that the military judicial system is broken when it comes to these cases, and that an alternative system must be created to guarantee accountability and justice for these crimes. American youth should not sacrifice their right to bodily integrity when they step forward to serve our nation. They bravely and honorably volunteer to wear the uniform with the understanding that they may make the ultimate sacrifice. That's enough to ask of them. But we must not continue to subject them to sexual violence, torture, and betrayal by their fellow personnel. Your daughters and sons, your sisters and brothers, your mothers and fathers, our American heroes deserve better. Thank you.
Alrighty, so we're now going to be taking some questions. I want to just again ask you to identify yourself and your organization as you ask the question, and to say that at the end of the question period, we're going to bring all of the survivors up here for sort of a group photo, so that you have the opportunity to take a picture of them as a group, and that'll be at the very end of the press conference. So without further ado, can I invite a question? Yes, your name.
Yeah, Andrea Stone with AOI News. This has been going on for many years before you came into the service. Why do you think that commanders or the Defense Department, the Army, or whatever service was so unwilling in your cases to help you or to believe you or to punish your perpetrators? What do you think was going on? Was it a culture? What was going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you stand at the podium, please?
Can you stand at the podium?
You know what? We'd actually prefer not.
Well, most of us
Most
don't
of
have
the
mics.
We
We don't have access to that
I
mic.
don't have access to this mic.
So, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Corey Choka, and in my case, my command was unwilling to help me because they drank with this man. It was their friend, their buddy. Coast Guard stations are very small. My section was among 7 men, and I was the only female. But these men would drink on duty, off duty together, and I went off several times with other petty officers, and I was denied help, even with other men saying, "Please get her away from him," and it was still allowed.
But do you think that it went beyond the group that you work with? Do you think there was an institutional message or looking the other way, or do you think it was just the people you worked with?
No, ma'am. It went further than that. Even at sectors, which is above our stations, Coast Guard stations. Even during the court martial, my investigator sat there and smiled at me. He told me what I was going to put in my report. It went higher, yes, ma'am. Definitely higher.
My name is Myla Hyder. I'm a former agent with the U.S. Army Criminal Investigation Command. I worked a great deal of sexual assault cases on both male and female victims, and I believe the reason that these cases are dealt with in this manner is that the system is driven by rape myths, and there is a pervasive attitude within DOD that any man might commit these type of offenses, and therefore, when these things do come up, it is seen as something that is committed by a peer or just another soldier. The entire education campaign is directed toward all soldiers as if it is an issue of consent, and that is not the case. The people who commit these offenses are sexual predators who are very good at selecting their victims and tend to offend again and again, and that is a fact that is not recognized within the DOD system. It is treated as if it is an issue between soldiers. It is not. I was in the military for 9.5 years. For the first 6 or 7 years, I worked very closely alongside men and never had this issue. It was not until I worked within the boys club of the Criminal Investigation Command that I was raped myself. So I've worked very closely, gone to the field, you know, been surrounded by men, and I haven't had any, you know, issues with things like this in the past. It is not something that is just any soldier. The vast majority of soldiers would never dream of committing such an offense. It is a very small population of sex offenders who are committing these offenses. And when they are not punished, they wind up in the civilian community continuing to offend, where oftentimes they finally wind up in the sex offender industry.
Ms. Hayter, can you stay there? I'm Rick Mays with the Army Times. Your case has one other thing to it, and that's, in the end, when it went to trial, 2 people that you'd spoken to turned against you and testified the other way. And I'm wondering if that's a phenomena that really has to hurt in a military circle where these are people that you trusted.
I would actually like to make a correction on that, because the 2 people you're speaking of, actually, those are 2 of my very best friends, even till today. In a case like this, you really find out who your real friends are, and those are actually still friends of mine. They did not turn against me. It was the fact that the defense called them as witnesses against me, and these are the people that I had confided in, who were supposed to keep it a secret. They were threatened with their careers, advised of their rights for not reporting the offense when it happened, and for that reason, there was not an accurate testimony by any of the witnesses, because all of them were threatened with their careers because of the fact they did not report the offense. So my friends were actually punished, given letters of reprimand, advised of their rights, and the offender, who went on to attack, you know, several other law enforcement women, I did not report the offense at the time. It was 2 years later, when I was called, that I finally reported the offense, because I had found out he was being investigated as a serial sex offender. And out of all of the several victims who testified and all the various stories which all aligned, he was not convicted of any of the sex-related offenses that he committed, and he received 9 months in prison for very minor military offenses that he committed.
And I'm gonna, we're open to all questions, but we're gonna limit the discussion to the general issues here, rather than have these women answer specific questions about their specific allegations in front of a room full of reporters. They will be available for other interviews at other times, so thank you. The question being, why do you think your supervisor didn't take action?
Hi, my name is Sarah Albertson, and I would definitely agree with what you said, that it is extremely institutionalized. It's the way that the military in general has taken to handling these kinds of cases. And personally, I believe a lot of it has to do with appearance. Nobody wants to say that there's been a rape in their command. Just looks bad on paper. I know for my case, even, not trying to get into specifics, but people who did believe me and who had my back and were supportive of me were still telling me, don't tell anybody about this, don't go to the public, don't let this get out, because it'll make the military look bad. I think that's a lot of why it's so encouraged to just kind of sweep it under a rug.
Yes, ma'am. Your name and your organization.
Kathy Sanchez, National Alliance of Women Veterans, headquartered in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Gulf War victim of MST. I'm so proud of you ladies. I commend you for your courage, and to the panel, thank you so much for supporting this move. I have been working very hard as an advocate. My question to each of you is, how do you propose you can live outside of the military environment, and what is your plan for support? Because for the past 20 years, I've had very much difficulty in just trying to survive and work through some of the issues on a day-to-day from the military sexual trauma. Do you have a plan? Is that part of the discussion with this lawsuit?
Anybody want to take that on? Sure.
I'm still coping. I went to the VA for help, and they refused me care even for my broken jaw.